Welcome, welcome. Love this song. I hope you all doing really well tonight. My name is Claudia. I'm going to share with you my chapter. Waiting for a few more people to hop on with me. There we go. Welcome everyone. It is so beautiful to be here with you this evening. My name is Claudia Scalisi. I am an intimacy coach and I support ambitious women to live with more authenticity, joy, pleasure, and courage to express themselves fully in this earth. Because you, sister, shining is what we need right now. It up-levels the vibration of the planet. See, I believe that women deeply connected to their sacred sexual energy are a powerful force to deal with in this world. This creativity that can bubble up to the surface when we start to reclaim our bodies, when we start to reclaim our relationship with our sexual desires and learn how to harness that energy, learn how to make art out of it, not be afraid of our own power. This is some awesome ancient wisdom. I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. This is like well documented throughout the ages. Let me just close up all these extra little bits and pieces that are going on. Well documented throughout the ages on sexual transmutation, manifestation, aligning your body so that you are vibing on that level of divine energy. So let me share with you a little bit about who I am. It'll give you some context into why I wrote the chapter that I did. Now, my like many women from European backgrounds, I have actually grown up in an Italian community where women were really subjugated. Yeah. So many of us hold stories about sexual abuse. So trigger warning, I'm not going to talk about a lot of abuse or the depth of the abuse. I'm going to speak of it as a manner of a rite of passage that I believe all of our lives journey is available for us to take on board as that vehicle for change in ourselves. It's a catalyst that we can either still remain in that victimhood mentality of this happened to me, therefore that's why I'm like this. Now, I don't believe for a second that our divine creator intended for that to happen to us. I believe that we have divine energy of the goddess energy, of God force, of prana, of chi. You know, my background as a yoga teacher, I specialize in supporting women to become more intimate with themselves, not just sexual. So let's pick up the sexual energy and just shelve it just for a second. I want to speak to you about this concept of intimacy, in that you know yourself so well that you can feel the hairs on your body stand up when you're in the presence of grace. You can feel it in the depth of your tummy when something isn't right. Yeah. You can feel the power that your body vibrates for you when you're about to deliver something really powerful into the world, and you can harness that energy so that you have more presence, more grace, more magnetism, and you can call towards you that which you already are. That which you already are. There's so much talk about feminine energy being all light and love. And trust me, there is light and love, but there is dark and there is shadow and there is grit and there is shit and there is stuff in there that we need to own. We need to own it all. When you are excavating all of your past, you want to leave no stone unturned. No stone unturned. You want to be able to see it all, and love it. Love it. Bring all of your awareness that you have become because of it back to that part of yourself that you left behind, and reclaim her and bring her back into your life. Take the wisdom that was gifted to you from what has happened to you, from your pain. Take the wisdom that has been gifted to you from your pain and use it as your power to make manifest heaven on earth. Heaven on earth in your body. Okay, let's talk a little bit about science, and I'm going to go into my chapter. You are a vibrating being. You're an energetic being. You're not just the same, wood thing, or a metal. You are a living, breathing organism. All throughout your body, you have got an energy system. We're not just talking about the chakra system, which are the main 7 chakras that most people know about up and down the spine. You've got like hundreds and thousands of chakra systems, little portals of energy in your body. Yeah. And then interwoven into the fabric of you are all these meridian lines. In traditional Chinese medicine, they talk about meridian lines. If you've ever had acupuncture done, they're tapping into the meridian lines. Yeah. You've got roots of the meridian lines that then lead into the organs, which then lead into the spinal column, which then create relationship between your brain and your body. And this feeds into your nervous system. Yeah. So you can hold trauma in different parts of your body, and your brain, whenever it remembers or it feels or something reminds it of this trauma, you can revert back to that space again, completely forget who you are because you're reliving a traumatic experience because it's trapped inside you. Yeah. So you got the meridian system in the body, which you can work with. In yogic principles, we talk about this being your nadi system. If you've ever been inside a yin yoga class in particular, you may have heard your teacher talk about the nadi system, the meridian system of the body. So you can tap into this energy. One of the quickest ways you can do that is to roll a spiky ball on your foot, and you can activate all the meridian systems underneath your feet and release the sheath of fascia, which is in your body. Gosh, I could talk about this forever, but I want to get back to my chapter. So touching into parts of your body, in particular your vaginal canal, yeah, in particular your cervix, in particular the lips and the flower of your yoni. Now, yoni is a Sanskrit word which doesn't just translate to vagina. It is a sacred portal from which life is manifested from. It is highly, highly sacred, highly revered, highly revered. Inside your vaginal canal, you have got all these nerve endings, not just your clitoral bud, which isn't just a bud. Your clitoris is shaped like a chicken wishbone from the top, and it comes out, and there's the lips, and it just permeates the entire bud of your yoni. Your body is designed to feel pleasure. Your body is designed to feel pleasure. How do you feel pleasure if you, one, don't know what it feels like, you haven't been taught how good you can feel, or you associate your body receiving sensation with trauma, with memories that don't make you feel good? How do you know if you've even turned on there between your legs? You can feel that if you are turned on by life, if you can actually become intimately related to your body. I took myself from a place of deep despair when I went through early onset menopause at the age of 43, just after I had called in my king, and I used my yoni work that I did with my body to manifest my husband. I kid you not, and I'll share this with you down the track. I manifested him because I called him into my life. I was so clear on how I would feel with this man in my life that I almost didn't need him. He didn't need to be there because I was already in relationship with him. I was making love to myself in the way that I imagined making love to him would be. I was spending time with him. I was dating myself, and I was already vibing at that level when he came in and we were a match. When I went through early onset menopause, we had just gotten married, I'd moved to a brand new state to have a family, to start my own family. I was 43. I waited that long because of the history that I had experienced in my life. I didn't trust myself with men, and I didn't trust men with me. I'd spent multiple years celibate, trying to figure out what the fuck I was doing wrong. Why did I keep attracting the same lover? They're different people. The same thing would happen. Now you would know if you have got a shadow energy in you that is projecting your past into your future. If you have that too, if you seem to attract the same friends groups, if you seem to attract the same jobs, the same situations in jobs, the same things keep happening to you, if you have caught yourself saying, why does this keep happening to me? You are operating probably from your shadow self that is operating from fear. How do you work with fear? You turn around and face it. This is what we mean when we say reclaiming all the parts of yourself that you left behind. Because suffice to say, if you're watching this, you've got a fridge, you've got food in it, you've got a house, because you've got a computer or a phone. All of your basic survival needs are met. You are no longer the same person that you were when that trauma or that memory happened in your body. So you take this version of yourself and you start to meet the shadow. I was able to bring myself back from a very deep, dark place after I realized I wouldn't be a mum to earth children. On top of that, who is a woman when she goes through early onset menopause? You see around you women going through menopause and they're much more older than me. I'm 45. You know, you picture someone going through menopause and they've already got children, or they've got, gray hair, or they're an elderly woman. Yeah. What if you're still young and vivacious and you have got still so much more life in you? You got still so much more life in you regardless of whatever age you are. You can transform yourself from that place of who are you in this nothingness to the potential within you. The potential within you. The potential within you. So let me read to you my chapter, My Divine Sexual Reclamation. I'm reading it from my screen. I'm going to check if there's any messages here. Beautiful. Okay. So, My Divine Sexual Reclamation by Claudia Scalisi. Most women are unaware of the potential within their bodies to experience the pleasure that opens portals to the divine itself. Instead, we believe the stories of our cultural conditioning to be our own truths and use them to keep ourselves safe on a path of those who have gone before us. And in that protective and well laid out plan, we remain unaware of ourselves, continuing with counterfeit ideals, silent and contained, never ever really living the full, unabashed expression of our wild feminine. The story of my sexual awakening starts in India 5 summers ago. I remember the moment the goddess made herself known to me. I was in my room at our ashram where we'd been visiting the Golden Temple in Vellore, southern India. It was the first time I'd journeyed to India. Even after the 6 years I'd been teaching yoga in Australia, I'd been waiting for the right time, and to be really honest, I was a little afraid to go on my own. The invitation to join a retreat hosted by a friend of mine who had been sharing the teachings of his teacher, Amma, was too enticing to decline. Amma intrigued me. It is said that she is the incarnate of the Divine Mother, Nayarani, the highest form of the sacred feminine. Courage, wisdom, and prosperity are the 3 main qualities of Nayarani as the trinity of the goddesses Lakshmi, Saraswati, and Durga. My yoga training had previously introduced me to the Hindu goddesses, and learning how these 3 created a supreme energy of Divine Mother archetype soothed my spirit. I can still remember the warmth of my father's soft hand as I held it to my cheek. His lifeless body calm and serene in the deathly stillness of that small hospital room. The absence of his gentleness was evident that day, and I became increasingly aware of how vulnerable I was. It had been a little over a year since my dad had left Earthside, yet the onslaught of a lifetime of confusion, ostracization, and shame had been up close and personal ever since. I'd returned to Perth only days before my dad died, after trying to get as far away from the people of my past and outdated culture as possible. The traditional Italian way for a woman to be in the world didn't fit me. My dad knew this. And we would talk weekly during those years I was away. He'd been asking me to return, and we were privileged to spend some precious time together before that last time he waved me goodbye. My earliest memories of my dad's mum were conflicted. She was frightening to me, yet I was fascinated when she would perform her magic. I'd watch her take a strand of hair from whoever she was performing a healing upon and place it in a small bowl of water. Then she'd layer droplets of olive oil into the liquid and read messages from the spirit worlds. In a vivid teenage dream, she was chasing me with teeth exposed, trying to eat me. I learned the word putana from her, which in English can be translated to bitch or slut. In its extreme offense, it means whore. This is what she and the older women in my community used to say about women who lived freely and were joyful in their bodies. This is what she used to call my mum. After my parents separated when I was 12. Being my mother's daughter, they also branded me unworthy of the air I breathed. The words, "You shouldn't be here," was what she whispered to me one afternoon when no one else was around. The small-minded community we were part of would say awful things about us and turn their back on me when I was with my mother. These same people would then be overly affectionate and kind to me when I was with my dad. I felt like I had a target on my back, and I was judged by all of those I once looked up to. My father was caught in the middle of it all, full of love for his daughter and full of obligation for his mother and his community. As the matriarch of our family, the dark nonna, as I called her, yielded power over everyone and seemed to suck up all the joy and life of those around her in her dark clothing. My little voice fell on deaf ears when I tried to explain what was happening to me. As I developed, the awkwardness of my physical body made me want to become invisible. The hot gaze from old men was vile to me and further exasperated the effects of the verbal abuse my grandmother would give me, making me believe there was something wrong with me. When I was sexually molested by an older man in our community, I felt that it was my fault, and I didn't tell my father. The elder woman I did tell, though, accused me of lying. That's when I developed the stutter. Everywhere I looked in my community, the same kinds of people were doing the same kinds of things. Men lived up to the alpha dominate role expected of them, and the women reminded me of demure pretty flowers that had been cut from the earth and wrapped in decorative ribbon. They were suspicious of younger women who weren't spoken for. I wondered how many of them had also felt that hot gaze burning through their clothes as they developed. The conditioning of women in our community would have us believe that the only respectable thing for a young woman to do was to get married, don't expose the trauma, and fit in with everyone else. Yet there I was, reliving all of those experiences again in the wake of my father's death. The community that had cared for him became suspicious of me and how conveniently my timing was to return home. I was unmarried, 38-year-old woman, realizing how all of my adult life I'd fiercely pushed boundaries and explored the edges of my creative expression. I was the first one in my family with a university degree and went on to experience levels of academic and professional success within the creative industries. There were many times I thought I had finally made it. But no matter how much success I had, I still wasn't free. Stuck inside the treadmill of my mind, I wasn't connected to my body, let alone was I able to experience true joy and satisfaction in life. I'd pushed myself so hard to prove myself, to prove my worth to the shadows, and played even harder, looking for love in all the wrong places. My promiscuities never gave me the intimacy I was craving. To feel safe and receive affection without being obligated to give more of myself than I wanted. Every relationship I had, I seemed to sabotage. Up until then, I'd been hiding behind the image of intellectual success I'd crafted for myself. And in doing so, I had to deal with the enormity of the emotions trapped in my body. I knew I needed help to reconnect to my body so I could learn to trust what I was feeling and really start to live a life of my own design. The pull of the Divine Mother was strong, and I went to India in the hopes to reconcile my past. I wanted to feel what it was like to be on the other side of all I'd ever known and awaken the qualities of true courage. I'm going to cry again. True courage, wisdom, and prosperity within me. Visiting a temple dedicated to honoring the divine feminine gifted me the opportunity to contemplate true honoring of the feminine archetype. One of my favorite rituals was to witness the bathing of these giant statues dedicated to the goddesses, beautifully carved in rich stone. Temple attendees would chant to the goddess as they'd lovingly pour milk and honey and scented flowers and scented water over the curvaceous bodies of the sculptures, along with aromatic herbs. I would watch, mesmerized, as the liquid would run down their human shape. It was so delicious, sensual, and such a meditative experience for me to observe. I later learned that this practice was called Abhishekam, and it was an ancient purification ritual, symbolic of cleansing one's inner self with positive thoughts. In that space of adoration of beauty, I was present. In the warmth of an early afternoon, after being in ceremony, I was preparing to shower. Only that it wasn't really a shower. It was a tiled shower space with two taps popping out of the wall, one for hot water, one for cold. I would pour water into a 5-liter bucket and with a plastic cup, I'd scoop the water and pour it over myself. The smoke of a nag champa was dancing its way through my small room, filling it with this heady aroma. I had my buckets of warm water in my bathing area, and I was washing my hair whilst casually reciting the chants I'd been singing in the temple earlier. My thoughts were on the experience of the day and how lovely it had been to be in such a sacred space. My body was warm and shiny from the water, and I had a thick white lather in my hair. I found the plastic cup, scooped up some water and poured it over my head. As I did so, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and I was awestruck. There, with all these suds running down my body, my skin glistening, I saw the image of the goddess from the temple I'd seen earlier, and I looked beautiful. I was enthralled at the way the water caressed my curves and ran down my legs. In that moment, I realized that I am the goddess. I am she. I took another cup, and this time with intention, I faced the mirror and poured the water over my head and became present with the sensation of the warmth running down my body. I could feel the omnipresence of the goddess, experiencing the pleasure of my human form. It was an exquisite reckoning to recognize the goddess within me. When our retreat was over, I left the ashram having received my own mantra to take home and continue my practices. I was a different woman when I left. I went into the experience wanting to come home with something tangible. What I received was this heightened quality of my own emotional and physical presence. It is said that when you take a step towards the goddess, she too takes a step towards you. Inspired by the experience of connecting with her, I'd created a beautiful altar in my bedroom where I'd sit in meditation and repeat the name of the goddess. My senses had been awakened, and I imagined what it would feel like to live with that heightened level of self-love every day. Wielding my power of creativity, I felt for what I wanted to experience as if it was already in my life. The more I honored the goddess, the more I connected and the more connected I felt to my sacredness. I realized all that was stopping me from feeling the joy and the love that I craved was to give myself permission to receive it. I had to trust myself and surrender trying so hard to be accepted. I needed to feel my own self-love and accept myself first. What I found interesting was how my intellect and my intentional focus began to expand my awareness. Fleeting thoughts became guides from the spirit world, chaperoning me towards my next best step. And it was in this amplified awareness that the ancient practice of yoni massage came into my world. Now, if you're only just being introduced to this type of massage, then I am honored to be the one sharing this with you. The name yoni is a Sanskrit name for naming vagina, and in English describes the sacred temple or portal of the divine. To massage the yoni was to devote sacred, loving attention to the sacred temple of creation. Physically, the massage helps the owner of the yoni to become aware of any trapped emotions held within her vagina. It also helps to release tension from a tight pelvic floor and connect a woman to the sensations within her. A yoga teacher friend of mine introduced them to me. She was trained in how to perform them and also told me about crystal yoni eggs and wands, which was new to me. I'd never owned a vibrator in my life. I was such a prude, even though I had been promiscuous in my youth. I never owned any of that stuff. On a balmy day in the late afternoon warmth, I was lucky to be receiving my first yoni massage in the comfort of my own bedroom from my friends. I just wanted time to get to know my body and become familiar with my needs. I wanted to relax my sacred temple, to experience what she felt like, and hopefully learn what she needed to feel loved. I'd intentionally set my bedroom to support me in relinquishing to the moment, with lit candles and fresh linen on my bed. Essential oils scented the air. Freshly bathed, I felt safe and gave myself permission to receive. Warm in that candlelight, I removed my clothes. The evocative aroma of jasmine and sandalwood circled around me. My senses were excited and my body trusted me. This in itself was an epiphany, to recognize the sensation of my body letting its guard down. As I lay comfortably on my bed, my masseur placed herself at my feet. She picked them up and held the soles at her chest. The warmth of her clothed body initiated our connection, and she asked for permission to proceed. Everything was slow and sensual. A woman's body wants time, and she wants your full attention. Give her this and she will bring all that she has to meet you there. With the tenderness of touch, warm hands moved to cradle my legs and my calves. My knees were not being asked to separate. Instead, she made her way towards my thighs and my hips, stroking with attention and affection. There is a tender place below a woman's belly button, that soft part of her tummy between the V of her hips, where her womb space is. With gentle hands, she connected lovingly to the sacred vessel of my womb. The sensation of her touch echoed through to my lower back, and she asked me to breathe deeply into her hands. I did, and I felt another layer of my senses unlock, releasing warmth through my hips. Still, she did not touch my yoni. Instead, she made her way to both sides of my waist and upper tummy, gently squeezing and releasing. She asked me for permission to separate my legs. And only when I answered yes, did she escort my feet apart. My knees fell to the side, and she placed herself kneeling before me. From my hips, she slid her hands down to my inner thighs with the same gentle squeezing and releasing action, to come to the entrance of my sacred temple, gazing into me. Her thumbs and index fingers gently massage in a circular rhythm around my outer lips like they were earlobes. We discussed previously that the experience of the yoni massage wasn't to bring me to climax, but to reconnect me to the sensitivity of my vagina and the landscape of my inner world. If I did become aroused, we'd already agreed to communicate about proceeding. If I felt comfortable to let go, she would continue. This agreement gave me the permission to simply be curious about the experience. The fingers that were massaging my outer lips slowed and slowly moved towards my inner labia, and I felt my pussy become plump, responding to the delicate touch that was inviting her to surrender. When she moved to circle this area with her fingers, I was surprised to have a completely different sensation to the touch. Up until then, I wasn't aware that my outer labia felt any different to my inner. I remember getting caught up in this thinking how strange it was not to know that before bringing my attention back to my body and what was happening. Whilst maintaining contact with my inner rose petals, she cupped my entire pubis with her other hand, and I felt the warmth de-armor any residual resistance. She asked again for permission to enter my body, waited until I said yes, and gently placed her finger in a little deeper, just within the entrance of my yoni. Keeping with the same subtle circular rhythm, she moved her finger into my body, exploring with sensitivity and inviting me to become more conscious of what I was feeling. At this point, I had no idea that some parts of me felt numb. We talked in soft tones as she asked if I could feel where her finger was, and at times I couldn't. I had to ask what direction she was pressing. She would either describe verbally where she was touching, or she would use her other hand to connect to the outside of my body so I could place the sensation. Some other areas of my inner canal were really tender to touch and elicited incomprehensible emotions from within. When this occurred, we lingered in the area for as long as it took for me to name the emotion and give permission to proceed. While some other areas she touched, like my right side, caused an immense amount of pleasure, but only in a particular corner at a certain pressure. As she proceeded, she explained the concept of yoni mapping, which is exactly what its name implies. a map of the inner realm of your vaginal walls, and your cervix. Just like any muscle in our body, our yoni can hold tension along with potential scar tissue caused from non-consensual sex, rough finger fucking, or even from the use of tampons. When touched, these areas can feel uncomfortable. By mapping our inner worlds, we become familiar with the sensations we are feeling and hopefully develop an awareness of what we may need in order to reclaim resensitivity. Yoni mapping can be done solo or with a partner. I've since learned how to do this for myself using my crystal wand that is curved in all the right places. You can do this too by drawing a circle and placing the numbers of the clock around it. With intention and patience, you can use your fingers, or a wand and document what you feel. With 12 o'clock being at the pubic bone, use sensitivity with various levels of pressure and depth and explore the area of your inner body. Notice what the area feels like under your fingers. Is the skin soft or is it textured? What emotions, if any, arise? Is it pleasurable? Write down what you experience there on your map, then proceed to 1 o'clock and do the same there. What you'll be creating is a map of your own yoni. Make sure you date it, so when you next explore your body, you can see the journey of awakening sensation in your vagina and reclaim your ability to feel and own yourself. As my yoni massage proceeded, I could feel my vagina becoming engorged and I was incredibly aroused. There was a particular area just behind my pubic bone that when stimulated, elicited a sensation I'd never experienced before. The more I focused on it, the greater the sensation became. My masseur inquired if I felt comfortable in her proceeding, which I agreed. I gave my breath the freedom to flush my entire body. Drawing it consciously through my nose, I traveled with it down through the back of my throat into my breasts, where it spilled into my belly and over the entire basin of my pelvis, where it pulled right where my two legs met. I felt flushed with awareness, wet and incredibly aroused. I felt my nipples become erect and my breasts firm. Everything else dissolved. All that existed was this incredible sensation between my thighs and the feeling of my breath carrying waves upon waves of pleasure throughout my entire body. The soles of my feet were enlivened. The spaces between my knees were awake, and the skin across my tummy all the way up my chest, my neck, and my face were excited as if my skin cells were all in communication and spreading the word. What occurred to me next was an incredible internal full body orgasm that first imploded before it exploded. Up from the base of my spine, through my breasts, out of my nipples, before traveling up into my neck, where it blew my head off. It blew my head off. There was no head left. Just a tidal wave of colors and sensations rippling through my entire being that made my body shudder and writhe around. Mouth open, eyes open, soul opened, and the mysteries of the universe pouring into me. By the time the experience finished, I was saturated with the nectar of divine feminine, glowing and full of rapture, rippling and making its way through every cell of my body. What came next, though, was unexpected. Akin to aftershocks of an earthquake, my lungs sucked breath in deeply, And with a strong howl of an exhale, salt water began pouring from my eyes, gushing like overflowing riverbanks. I cried, heavy, hard sobbing. I cried and I cried as if something from the depths of the very fiber of my being had been freed to leave me. I felt the presence of ancient energy hold me. Cradled in that tenderness, I gave over everything. Every hurt I'd ever had, every harsh word ever said, every betrayal, all the shame, all the guilt. I let it leave me to journey with the tears being released through my eyes, through my mouth. My masseuse feather stroked my body until my breath softened again. She took my hand and gave it a gentle squeeze and then left. In that residual energy, bathed in rose-like candlelight, I lay softly stroking my own face in pure divine communion. I did not know that I could feel like that, to feel so good. I felt revived, so loved, so seen, and so adored. Once something has been felt, it cannot be unfelt. The power of the sacred feminine had made herself known to me. She'd blessed me with the wisdom of how to sanctify my temple and in sacred union with the power of creation. In the days preceding, I invested in a jade yoni egg and further explored the sensations deep within my yoni, along with a pure rose quartz crystal wand. Infused with my intention to continue recovering the fragmented pieces of myself, I made gentle love to myself daily. Honoring the goddess within helped me peel the layers of generational shame from my nervous system and replace them with prayers of gratitude with every earth-shattering orgasm I had. With time, I realized what an incredible opportunity I had been blessed with. Where once I'd felt such contempt for my body and rage at being ostracized, the experience had set me on a path of self-reclamation and sacred devotion. I believe the future needs women who are turned on by life, and capable of accessing the vast resource of creative energy trapped in her body. Embodied with the wisdom of their lived experience and in complete ownership of the power within them. The end. That's my chapter. Hopefully now, knowing some background about me, you can see that was the beginning, learning how to continually sanctify my body, even when I didn't know what was next for me. And using this creative energy, was able to recreate myself after such grief, after such loss. Because your current way of living, if it doesn't satisfy you, doesn't have to be the rest of your life. You can recreate yourself at any moment. You need to be brave, yes. You need support, probably. But most of all, you just need to want to. So that's what I want to leave you with tonight. What makes you want to get up every morning? Is it that you have daughters that you are modeling a behavior for? What about that secret small voice inside of yourself that knows she's got more to give the world? Don't let that song go with you. Explore, be curious. Have a beautiful evening, everybody. If you'd like to find me, you can go ahead and find me on Facebook, make me a friend. I'd love to connect with you. With love. Bye now.